Evolution requires a lot of change, but change can be really rocky sometimes. And today is March 11th. It's my birthday, but my present is a lemon. So what do we do when life gives us these cheek pucker, sucker punch lemons? Never mind that canned Sunny D reply, when life gives us lemons, make lemonade. Because hello, lemonade needs water to dilute. It needs sugar to sweeten. It needs spoons to stir it, and it needs a place to chill for a while or it totally tastes like butt. Now I know, there's actually 50 different types of literal lemons, like Rough Bush and Buddha's hand. Almost none produce tasty lemonade, though, just like most pushy advice is actually pulpless fiction. So I'm setting up an end-of-the-roadside lemonade last stand. We got every cup of half-empty, half-full of piss, water into wine, lemon first aid that I've made, and I'm sorry, or I've drank in recent history. Let's taste test. When life gives us lemons, we might be told to say thank you or huzzah, free lemons. We might want to throw them at our enemies, to shove them in our ears so people stop talking, to shove them in mouths so people stop talking, to buy vodka and plan a party, or maybe smoke something green until the munchies make the lemons seem tasty. Well, because you can't give them back, or they're probably not lemons. So when life gives me lemons, first I check they're not just limes or grapefruit that need a new perspective. Then I'll usually sob on the lemons, and then maybe I'll mock the lemons. And then I'll get angry at the lemons, and when I dissect the lemons, it usually gets messy. So I try to keep the sting away from paper cuts. I usually preserve my zest. I store their essences in midnight broken bottles. I become a fruit ninja. Or I learn to make invisible ink to scrawl swear words on hospital walls. Or craft a crude electrochemical battery to power my light on the bleakest nights. There's so many lemon recipes. You just read. You drink them in. You put on your half shell. You could shove them in your bra or your briefs if it makes you feel better. Or you could slide them into steeping tea with chocolate or chips or bacon. You just gotta try to store them in a Ziploc for sleeping, because you cannot refuse them, but you can eventually choose how to use them. And you certainly don't want to handle them just like me. I mean, I don't even like lemonade. And maybe you do. That's okay too, because I could hold sugar and water for you, or we could just hang out in our mutual mortal orchard making nectarine talk or cherry talk. But if you ask, I can give you the only piece of gold star advice I ever received when cancer lemon meringue my bell. When life gives you lemons, you make a tossed salad. You scavenge what you can from what is at hand. I got snap-happy apples. I got grinning grapes. I got naughty bananas. And I chase every best taste down with my spoons. I save myself from bitterness this way. Because sometimes all you can do is steal sugar packets from coffee shops, pour tiny hills of hope on the sour sting of inevitable decay. Like today, on my birthday, when we put my dying father Phil in a hospice. It sucked. And I went home with this empty bowl holding the whole of me. I cried, and then I cried some more, and then I hugged my dog, and then I ate a box of cookies. And then I tossed myself this sweet, silly, sour, serious salad poem about lemons. I believe for myself that evolution is very much about expression. It's done very powerful things for me to come into artistic communities and places like here where I can share my voice and my experience and feel heard. I think there's a real problem sometimes in our evolution, though, because some people aren't given space to express their feelings straight up the way they are. And so they end up shoving them under other stuff. And that's when our society tends to get really ugly. I know a guy who should be an astronaut, because in space, tears won't flow. Now there's 3 types of tears. There's basal for lubricant, there's reflex for irritant, and there's emotional. But he only accepts the first 2. So salt heaps his pillar cheeks, his eyes crack Iceland volcanic, his face must ache like continents colliding, because he swears at me. He calls me a useless hippie. His mission's control, alt, delete, grief, but I'm always reflex crying. And then he's challenger explosive. For God's sakes, why are you women always crying? I don't cry because I have ovaries. I cry because bullies upset me. But I can't get upset here, or our mutual cultural conditioning will label my words irrational before I do or say anything. So let's ask science. Studies have shown that in North America, most men will cry 8 to 10 times a year, while most women will cry 50 or 60 times a year. This is certainly more than just hormones, though, because at birth around the globe, all the babies weep exactly the same. But by the end of the first week, they all have accents. Distress meets cultural conditioning in 7 days. And by age 13, most Canadian boys are ashamed to weep at all. Even though tears are peace flags, they're compassion calls. Before the Industrial Revolution, when some bosses decided that feelings would slow factory productivity, we all wept together, less or more in our own ways, because everyone cries. Even gods cry. Hrothgar cried buckets. Jesus wept. The sun god Ra hummed bees into a tuneless world when his tears hit the sand. But these days, those studies say that most of us will cry only at night, at home, alone. And that means we're holding it in. And science does show that a good cry is an open, honest, willing cry. Alone or with others, it will produce oxytocin, just like laughter or exercise. But a bad cry is a stifled, angry, unwilling cry. It will produce cortisol, just like anger. See, tears are not weakness. They are strength training. But my astronaut has received no training at all. So he's out there in whiskey. He's waving his fists and screaming. He's slowly sinking. And I want to save him. I'm desperate to save him. I love him. But drowning men cannot be trusted. They will drag you under. So I tell him I cry because of syn-propanethiol S oxide. Although nobody's cutting onions here. We watch stars fall like lost astronaut tears. And when he isn't looking, I wipe mine away. So, I do believe that emotion is really key to evolution, being able to be straight up and dig through all the layers to figure out how you're feeling and why you're feeling that way is a big process in stepping forwards. I've been diabetic since I was 12. I'm a cancer survivor. I've certainly had my share of lemons. And I've found having safe space to share my feelings has made a big difference. But whether you see yourself as XX or XY or Z or any of these groups, our society doesn't really give space for people to be sad a lot. You have pop songs telling everyone to be happy. You have memes saying that positive thinking will overcome everything. That's just not always true, though. There's definitely times when things just suck. And somebody pushing you and telling you need to be happy isn't cool. And that's when I like to sing a song to myself. Don't clap along if you know what tragedy means to you. Don't clap along if you know that sadness is a truth. Don't clap along if you've been low as a bunker without a view. Don't clap along because you know it's something you've got to do. 'Cause it might sound crazy, but I have to say, not every morning can bring a sunny day. Sometimes it's all hot air or we pop like a balloon. And as we drop, they say, you better just get happy soon. But I'm not happy. So don't clap along if you need a space where you can grieve. Don't clap along if your smile needs a temporary reprieve. Don't clap along as your tears fall, 'cause you know they're fine with me. Don't clap along, you just sit still, you be whoever you've got to be. See, when I was small, tall was an arms race, faced in yellow happy. And I dreamt their stuffed bears. I ate their Desert Storm dinners. I drank their vast lost nest monsters. They said there was no monster, but I peed on a bedroom pound puppy deliberately, too terrified of bathroom bomb casualties. See, when I was small, I was flicked in the head if I cried. And I climbed into my closet sobbing stop in Gold Star Crayola all the way up the dry walls. I was firecrackers. I was too loud weeping. I wasn't sleeping. And I had these terrible headaches no one could explain. She's only 8. They said they'd never go away. So I kind of knew that when I was tall that I should always be happy or I was doing it wrong. But you know, now I am tall, and now I'm sometimes sad. Now I'm right in the head, and my headaches are finally gone because they were wrong. So here comes awful news, and you simply cannot smile. And your belly boulder breaks, and you know it's gonna take a while. There's people telling you you gotta just keep grinning on. But you can't let a loss go until you grieve that it is gone. So nobody's gonna call me weak because I'm on a losing streak. And nobody's gonna tell me no when it's time for my tears to flow. Let's take our time, snap along, nice and slow. You cry if you need to cry. You snap along in bitter blues. You don't need to give a reason why. However slow your feelings flow, it gives you strength to take the time to feel. I snapped along to sorrow's song, and now I'm happy 'cause I've healed. One of the ways I do heal and move through grief, which I've had a lot of in the last 5 years of my life, is through gratitude. I have a gratitude practice where every day I try to give that energy back to myself because, you know, positive thinking doesn't change everything, but it can certainly help your perspective when you need it. The last piece I wanted to share this evening took me a really long time to write because it's speaking to a gratitude I feel for someone that I've never met, but who feels like part of my body and like part of my family in really special ways. And I think remembering other people that have that influence on us, even if they're people we haven't met, is really important to add the feeling of continuity through the world. And that also helps us to heal and helps us to evolve. So this piece is for Henrietta Lacks, who some of you might be familiar with, who's an amazing woman, and her blood cells are responsible for a great number of us here being healthy and well. So I gift this to Henrietta. We have gods ghosting our blood. Most of us are alive because of them. And I know a God saved my life. Her name is Henrietta. She's the mother of modern medicine. She's humming a cracked gospel of CGAT. Those are the love letters of DNA sequencing. Henrietta Lacks was 31 when she got cancer, just like me. But she died and left her kids behind. She was black, but in creased black and white, she looked exactly like my grandma. It was 1951. She had 5 kids. They weren't allowed at her hospital bedside, so she pressed her waning moon face against a wasting window frame to watch them play across the street. And her doctors took cancerous cell samples. They were labeled only with her first syllables. Those HeLa cells, they changed the body and mind of scientific inquiry. 60 years later, they helped keep breast cancer from killing me. See, normal cancerous cells in a lab, they divide 40 to 50 times and die. But HeLa cells were different. They were godlike. They were infinite. They never stopped dividing. They still aren't sure why. There was this endless enemy army for our medical testing, and this changed everything. You can witness all of her medical prophecies. We have vaccines for herpes and HPV. We have cryogenics, nanotech, treatments for IVF and HIV. She got 5 Nobel Prizes, 50 or 60,000 patents. She even went to space. But she never even knew they took her cells. See, divinity can be ugly. Since 1954, big business has made billions off of her body, but not a penny has gone back to her biological family. Divinity can also fall somewhere between goods and services and evils. I mean, how many white supremacists survived polio because of red cells from her black beautiful? But how many of her own children still live because she died but didn't? Her waxing moon face is pressing against a petri dish, watching her great-great-grandchildren play, and well, divinity remains a mystery. But Henrietta, you are platinum lining on my chemo clouds. I feel you when I worship rain, because you push past all these quandaries like the best mothers do. You ghost my blood with your mother love, and I know that the hardest questions are immortal too, but your answer is my prayer. It's survive. It's thrive however I can for as long as I can as the person I'm meant to be, because we cannot change our history, but we shape our futures without even meaning to. And as I hold my daughter 6 years later, you guard every cell with gratitude. Henrietta, my Gila, thank you.